Okay, so today, guys, we'll close our laptops. We've got a very special presentation ready for us by Aden, so please give him all your attention and listen in, and yeah, here we go. Hey, wish me luck. Okay, so this is the very fun yet confusing topic on time. So I'm going to do my best to explain it the simplest ways that I can to help you understand it. And if you want to explore it further, then be my guest, because it's lots of fun and very confusing. So what I want to start with first is that the point of my presentation isn't really to give you answers, but rather an explanation. So an explanation on time, and hopefully that will help you formulate your own questions about it, which you can explore in your assignments if you wish to. Let's see if this works. Okay, so what is time? Does anyone have any ideas? Any single word or single sentence? Fun? You got something?
No, it's not mine. No.
Okay, well, here's the answer. We don't really know. That's the answer. But, like always, philosophy has ideas which many people agree and disagree over with. So that's what we're going to look into today. So firstly, I'm going to talk about how the ancients view time. So, here we go. So this word here is cyclic. So you can think of a circle. A lot of, before clocks and all those digital things which we measured time were created, people sort of saw time as a repeat of events. So here are some examples, like repetition. So waking up in the morning, showering, working, which in their case was hunting to provide for their families. That was a cycle alongside that night and day. So there was repeats, repetition, cyclic. Seasonal, which is seasonal, not seasonal, which is the season. So summer, autumn, winter, spring. We can see that there's a repetition of change in our environment around us. Patterns of being as well. So human lifespan. So time of a human life. So infant, child, adult, elderly, death at the end. We can view that in life as well. An example is kind of like a wheel of time. People use that phrase. It's time going around and around. And last but not least, this is Ecclesiastes, which is part of the Bible, which talks about time. I've actually got a quote here. So, my favourite part of the Bible, quote Mr. Rawls, 37 minutes of his YouTube video published on March 23rd, 2022. So that's the time of his video. I've actually got a bit of it here. So it's a bit nihilistic, so it's a bit dreary, so you might not like it, but I'm going to read it for you to give you a picture on how people of the past and in religion may have seen time. So what do people gain from all their labours, at which they toil under the sun? Generations come and generations go, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises and the sun sets, and hurries back to where it rises. The wind blows to the south and turns to the north. Round and round it goes, ever returning on its course. All streams flow into the sea, yet the sea is never full. To the place the streams come from, there they again return. All things are wearisome, more than one can say. The eye never has enough of seeing, nor the ear its fill of hearing. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. Is there anything of which one can say, look, this is something new? It was here already, long ago. It was here before our time. No one remembers the former generations, and even those yet to come. And even those yet to come will not be remembered by those who follow them. So yeah, very, very bleak explanation of human time and moving through time. Okay, so space and time. So what we know from science and philosophy is that you can agree that there's three spatial dimensions, so three parts of space. They are, you can say, up and down are one, left and right, side to side, two, and forward and backwards. So does everyone agree you can move through space in this way? So we also believe there is one temporal dimension. So you can move through space, but since there is change, there has to be something supporting that change, that movement over a certain period. So does everyone agree that you can't have time without space, and you can't have space without time? They're interrelated. Do you agree that's the case? That's spinning, that's also spinning. Okay, here's some examples of how we can view in our world the relationship between space and time. So for example, we have a place in a space. The space is Mount Gambier, and the time that was the 23rd of March 2022. We've also got interval or length. So Adelaide to Mount Gambier. So they're both occupying space. They can both occupy space at the same period of time. So we can agree. Finally, time. We've got King Henry VIII to Queen Elizabeth. So you could say that these two individuals occupy different times. They were alive at different periods, but they occupied the same space. They were in the same buildings. They may have sat on the same throne. We all agree with that? So we could say all physical objects are a combination of space and time dimensions. So an object can be in one place at two times. So we've got the dog here at the school during the daytime, and we've got the dog back at school at the night time. So if that's true, do we all agree that that's true? An object can be in one place at two times, and come back, leave school, come back tomorrow? Yep. So can an object be in two places at one time? Anyone have any thoughts on that? Can an object thing be in two places at one point in time? No? Don't think so? Okay, well here's an example I'll bring up. That's a big yes. This is the disclaimer, provided it occupies the space between the two places. And so in his PowerPoint, Mr. Rawls, he made the example of a bus resting on the border between South Australia and Victoria. So SA, Victoria, and the length of the bus spanned across the border, filling up those two spaces. So he was arguing that the bus, if you consider it one object, which for the sake of this we will, consider it one object, it's occupying two spaces at one time. However, I thought that someone could raise their hand and then say, well, SA and Victoria, are they really physical spaces, or we just made them up as borders? So my example is a person in water. So this is Timmy, he's in the water, so he's swimming, half his body's above the water, half his body's below the water. So the water space and the air space, and he's swimming in the present moment. So that's agree or disagree. So does anyone agree that he is in two spaces at one time, or is there some sort of something else going on here? Everyone's okay? No one has any thoughts on it? Yep, all good. Okay, here's the next one. An object can move forwards and backwards through space. So I'm taking a step forward, taking a step back. Space, I move forwards and backwards. So can an object move forwards and backwards through time? Would that be possible? No? No? Got a shake of heads? No? Well, here's explanations. So these explanations may not reflect reality, but here's how it would look if it did occur. So here's travelling through space explained. Got my trusty ruler. An object is a place one at time one, and a place two at time two. So thinking back to that dog, so dog was at the school in the morning and back at the school at night. It maintains its existence over the interval time one through to time two, despite existing in different places. Does that make sense, this explanation? Here's the next one. So here's how we would explain travelling through time, even if we couldn't really visualise it. So an object is at time 1 at place 1 and again at time 1 at place 2. It maintains its existence over the interval place 1 through to place 2 despite existing in different times. So, does anyone think that would be, you can understand the words, what they're conveying, but does anyone think that would be physically possible? No. Oh, one more thing before I go, I'll go into some theories, but one more thing you should probably know about time. So, a lot of points made in science that time is relative. So relative means having meaning or significance only in relation to something else. So time is affected by something. So here we are. So mass bends the space-time continuum. So we could say, so time depends on your place in space. So you could say an astronaut goes to Jupiter, which has stronger gravity due to be a bigger size. So the mass of that object may cause time bend in time to make it be slower there on Jupiter as it was on Earth. So, and a really good visual cinematic example is the movie Interstellar. So anyone heard of it or seen it? So yep, that's good. So they were on a planet far away. It was a massive planet, a different part of space to Earth. And because of the mass or gravity of that planet, time was only giving it significance, or it was being affected by that mass in space. So they were aging slower on that planet than what they would in Earth. Okay, here are the theories. This is the fun part. So I've tried to simplify it as best as I can, but don't be mad. Again, don't be mad at me if you go to research it and realise it's 10 times as complex. Okay, there's two main theories. They're called the A theory and the B theories of time. Now they're a bit confusing, so you have to. So the A theory we can also say has dynamic flow. So what do you think of when you think of flow? Anyone have any on the word flow?
Water.
Water. Yep, like fluid moving down a stream. So we get time flows in one direction like a river. That's the theory. You're only going forward. However, this theory believes that time is a dimension that is substantially different from the spatial dimensions. But it's also a real thing within this reality. It's not something our brains are making up this movement. There's something happening that's propelling us as we change in space. Our physical bodies change. There's some sort of passage or change that's all around us. So the A theory of time is divided into 3 segments, which you've all heard of. So we've got the present, which is now, the future, which is events and changes that are yet to come, and the past, which are changes that have already happened. So we are flowing along this route. And yet the most commonly accepted normal version of time, as everyone, that's how you all think of time. You think of past, present, future. So the next one is the B theory of time. This is the more complex one. So don't worry if it's confusing, even I still struggle with this one. So this is about static relations. So when you think of static, something not moving. So relations that are not moving, which is weird when you think of time as something that's not moving. However, this theory argues that time is simply the relation between events, not a real flowing, but instead static or unmoving process. So if you look at the same, what was once present, future and past is simply just events arranged in order. So me now is not the present, but simply an event that is after my birth and an event that is before my death. Such as the same as my birth is before me now and also before my death. So there's an arrangement of events. So time can be seen not as a movement, but instead events have happened, and these are the orders we're putting them in. Look at this one. This is the moving spotlight theory. So this is sort of like an adaptation of the A theory, that time is moving, except this one is bit more poetic. So does can someone see this and be okay reading this short paragraph out? Anyone? Yeah, thank you.
Consider the metaphor of a moving spotlight that slides across the temporal dimension, rarely illuminating just one moment of time. The present, while the future is a foggy region of potential, and the past is a shadowy realm of what has been.
Yeah. So what the spotlight theory is saying, time is simply, well, where we are right now, in this moment. There's a spotlight right where we are now, and we're just moving along with it. Rather than flowing through it or within it, we are now where time is, and we're moving slowly along a line with whatever's ahead and whatever's behind, simply things we can't really tell what's happened and what will happen. They're murky, they're foggy, in a foggy region. So in this one, we could say time is not a linear, like a stream, but rather one place, which is where we are now. In this place, we're just continuing along. We could also, some people could argue that therefore the memories of the past are the result of an inaccurate human perception. So what we call our memories of what's already happened, the events which have happened, are just what we thought have happened, what we perceived as happening, may not have actually happened the way we remember them. Okay, now we'll move to the last one. So big word here, transcendental idealism, or also known, time isn't real. So like this one before. So instead of being a real thing in this world, in this reality, along with space, instead time and space are simply lens through which we perceive the world. So this was proposed by a philosopher known as Immanuel Kant. So he believed that time and space were what we've come up with because what we view, where we're existing, is so complex that it was necessary for us to make up these qualities of existence, time and space, to more easily understand the world. So there's no time, real flowing time isn't something that exists outside of us, but simply what we see in our heads. So easier to understand what's happening, the events which are happening. So I wrote as a note, again, our dumb brains are tricking us, making us think something is there. So here's my question. If this is true, time isn't real, it's just our perception, then how can things which we can see around us change without time? Does anyone have any thoughts? How can things change? If time isn't real and we're just imagining it, and space isn't real, it's all just us trying to cope and trying to simplify things, then how do we still notice or undergo changes? And we can still recognise there's events which have happened, before. Anyone have any thoughts on that? Does anyone agree or think time isn't real? Or do we all think there's at least something, some sort of movement or change we're going through? Everyone kind of agree? Yep. So give that one a think about that one if you're considering researching time. Okay, last one. So time travel. So this last one's a bit of a fun one. So it's a hypothetical scenario which I want you to consider. So has anyone heard of the grandfather paradox? Anyone heard of it before? Yeah.
Yeah, it was if you went back in time and killed your grandfather, then what would happen to you? Would you still exist? And then who would go back and kill your grandfather?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so good explanation. So you got time, say you had time travel, and there's me. I went back in time into the past somehow and killed my grandfather. And what happens? Do I stop existing after that? Or if I never existed in the first place, does that mean I didn't kill him? So it's a paradox because we've got things contradicting one another. So have a think about that. Does anyone have any ideas what they think would happen if this was possible? Would I, after doing that, would I then stop existing in time? Or would I have never existed? But then if I'd never existed, then how could I have gone back in time and killed him? That's some things to think about if you're researching time. So there's a lot of those paradoxes and confusing things surrounding time and moving through time. That's it. Hopefully everyone's picked up some little thing that they found interesting or learned, and most importantly, you've all got more questions now, which is probably the best part. Hopefully I've actually confused you, which has given you questions that make you want to research it even more, because it's a very interesting topic, and I think if you're very interested in this sort of thing, this part of philosophy, you should definitely take a bigger look into it. But thanks everyone for listening.
Really well done, mate. Excellent. So, yeah, all right. Well, guys, we'll just dedicate our time